Hey guys, Rob, Sigma 3 Survival School. We're out doing the intensive instructor class today. It's a month-long, 30-day class that basically takes you through our entire survival curriculum and is going to add some other elements that you wouldn't necessarily learn in the standards because obviously instructors need to have a little bit more tips and tricks. So we try to show every variation of different types of shelters, modifications for all different types of things. So the first thing that I want to show y'all today is we're going to be building a debris hut. With survival, the first thing that you always worry about is shelter. And, people don't die too much from bug bites and stuff like that. They die from freezing to death. So first thing that we cover is building debris huts, and we're going to build several variations of it. The first version that we're going to show you is kind of a heated version. We're going to have one with hot rocks in the front and potentially a fire right out in front of the shelter. Then we're going to show you one with that's more of a cocoon mummy style sleeping bag type shelter that's unheated, and several other variations. So stick with us, and we're going to get this baby going. So the first problem with debris huts is the time that it takes to construct them. So one of the first things I teach my students is how to do transitionary shelters, how to take a shelter that might take you 3 hours, cut the time in half, but it's still going to keep you warm and dry. So with the debris hut, what we've got right here is just basically a bipod and a tripod and a header, with the sticks stacked up. And so we can make half of our debris hut first, and we can turn it into a lean-to. Now the great thing about that is a lean-to is not as waterproof as a debris shelter is, but it can be much warmer because you can build a body length fire next to it. Okay, so with an open style shelter, I like to have mine heated. And this is actually my preferred method. Now there's a lot of different ways you can set it up, but probably my favorite method is right inside the doorway. I like to dig a little pit and stack a whole bunch of fist-sized rocks in. And the great thing about that is I can take this throughout the night and I can toss rocks in my fire that's in front of my doorway and get them heated up and then bring them back in my shelter and have a place to warm my hands. And I've slept in this shelter and probably with the open doorway with no fire in front of it with just the rocks in about 20-degree weather, and I actually got cooked out of it. So it'll work in really cold conditions. All right, so after you get your transition lean-to built, then you need to worry about making your bedding. Now conduction is probably the biggest issue. Sleeping on the ground, the cold is gonna suck it right out of you real quick. So you want to make sure that you've got about 18 inches of bedding, and get in it, pack it down, crunch it so that it settles. And another thing that you need to pay attention to is you need to keep the leaves out of your hot rock pit. Obviously if leaves are touching hot rocks, they can smolder. There's not really a big issue. I've never ever had a primitive shelter catch on fire. I know a lot of you guys worry about that, but if you're just mindful and use common sense, it's really not a big issue. So keep your leaves away from your rock pit, and you're going to conform your sticks and have this section of your shelter flare out a little bit more than the rest of the shelter. So I'm going to come around and then I'm going to tuck it right back in so that shelter stays nice and conformed to my body to keep the maximum amount of heat. Okay, so this is it's not the finished version, but it's a cross section of what the first version is going to look like. You're going to leave the front door open. You're going to have an internal, rock pit right here that you can throw hot rocks in. And the problem with hot rocks, guys, is, we teach people to use hot rocks to stick up under their arms and between their legs and things like that. But honestly, it can be a major pain in the butt to try to get them to the right temperature all the time. So what I like to do is have this rock pit here. I'll throw a whole bunch of hot rocks in here for heating the shelter, and then if I'm still cold in certain areas, I'll take the rocks that aren't so hot that they're going to ignite, or I can, touch them and they still stay warm, and I'll put those by my cold spots. I'll put them down by my feet, in between my legs, underneath my arms, so that it really, really keeps me super warm. Because if I'm caught in a blizzard or, some kind of crazy weather conditions, I'm going to want to really keep my core temperature up. Because survival is calories, and every time you're cold, you're burning them. So there it is, guys. I basically start with a transition shelter where it starts as a lean-to, and then if I have enough time, I'll build it into a debris hut with an internal rock pit in the front and a fireplace right out here. And then The next version that we're going to show you is the version that's unheated, which is basically using your body heat. So stay tuned for part 2, and as always, share, like, and subscribe. Sigma 3 out.